You have felt it. That phantom buzz against your thigh when your phone is sitting silent on the table. Your hand moves before your mind catches up. You check. Nothing. No message. No call. Just your own brain, quietly lying to you. Now picture a three-legged dog, years after surgery, still flinching to scratch a paw that is not there anymore. Its body sends the itch. Its brain still believes the leg exists. What if the empty space in your pocket and the empty space where that paw used to be are being filled by the exact same trick? In 2010, researchers surveyed hospital workers about a strange sensation. 7 out of 10 said they had reached for a phone that never actually vibrated. In 2017, veterinary researchers uncovered something even stranger. Dogs who had lost a leg kept reacting to a leg that was no longer there. 2 different species, 2 very different lifetimes of nervous system wiring. 1 identical glitch. Here is the part most people never think about. Your nervous system does not wait for reality. It predicts it. Every second, your brain runs a quiet simulation of what your body should be feeling right now, built from everything it has felt before. Thousands of small buzzes, thousands of habitual checks, thousands of times your leg brushed your phone and it happened to be a real notification. Your brain built a pattern from that. And once a pattern is strong enough, your brain will sometimes fire the sensation even when nothing caused it at all. Scientists describe this as a false positive of prediction. Your body is not malfunctioning. It is being efficient in the worst possible way. Now stretch that same idea across a species that has never held a phone in its life. When a dog loses a leg, the nerves that once reported from that limb do not simply switch off. For years, sometimes for the rest of its life, those pathways in the spinal cord and brain keep trying to send updates about a limb that no longer exists. Veterinary researchers studying limb amputation in dogs have documented owners describing their pets scratching at empty air, chasing an itch on a paw that is gone, or shifting their weight as though pressure is landing on a leg that was removed months earlier. This is not imagination on the owner's part. It closely mirrors something doctors have understood in human amputees for well over a century, a pattern so consistent across species that veterinary literature now gives it its own name: phantom limb sensation. There is a reason this happens, and it lives inside a part of your brain called the somatosensory cortex, the region that maps every inch of your body onto a strip of neural tissue. Neuroscientist V.S. Ramachandran spent years studying human amputees and found that when a limb disappears, the map does not simply erase that section. Nearby regions of the map slowly creep in and take over the abandoned space, and the brain sometimes misreads their signals as though they were still coming from the missing limb. Your leg has its own patch on that same map. Years of a phone resting against it, buzzing in a familiar rhythm, wired that patch just as deeply as any limb. The phone left, in a sense, an imprint on your own neural map before it ever left your pocket. Ask yourself something. If a nervous system can keep generating the feeling of a leg that is physically gone, is it really so strange that yours keeps generating the feeling of a vibration that never happened? But that is not even the strangest part of this story, because the sensation you are so used to blaming on your phone might be far older than any device you own. To understand why, you have to look at what a nervous system is actually built to do. It is not built to report the world accurately. It is built to keep you alive in it. And staying alive almost always means reacting slightly before you are certain, not slightly after. An animal that flinches a split second before a branch snaps behind it survives more often than one that waits to be sure. Prediction, not accuracy, is the whole point of having a brain in the first place. Your phantom buzz is that same prediction engine, running at full strength, with nothing real left to predict. If you have made it this far, you are clearly the kind of person who notices these small, strange overlaps between us and the animal world. That is exactly who this channel exists for, so stay close, because the reframe from here only gets stranger. Elephants take this idea somewhere almost unbelievable. Field biologist Caitlin O'Connell spent years studying how elephants detect vibrations traveling through solid ground, picking up rumbles from other elephants, or approaching danger through sensitive nerve endings in their feet and trunks, sometimes long before any sound reaches their ears through open air. Their entire body has effectively become an antenna, tuned for a lifetime to signals most animals cannot register at all. Now imagine what happens when a nervous system wired that precisely occasionally fires without any actual tremor present. Observers in the field have long described elephants suddenly freezing, ears flaring, reacting alert to what looks like nothing. No one can ask an elephant whether it just felt a rumble that was never really there. But structurally, the ingredients are identical to what happens the moment your hand jumps toward an empty pocket. Think about what that means for a moment. An elephant's foot has to stay sensitive enough to detect the footsteps of a family member kilometers away. That kind of sensitivity does not come with an off switch. It comes as a package deal, the astonishing ability bundled together with the occasional false alarm. You cannot have one without accepting the other. Every early warning system, in every species that has ever depended on one, pays this same quiet tax. Sharks and rays carry an even more extreme version of the same story. Tiny jelly-filled pores scattered around their snouts, called the ampullae of Lorenzini. Let them sense the faint electrical field produced by a living creature's heartbeat and muscle movement, sometimes from behind sand, in complete darkness, with nothing else to go on. A hidden animal cannot even outsmart this sense. It is that precise, and a sensory system tuned to detect a signal that faint is, almost by definition, a system capable of occasionally lighting up when nothing is actually there to detect. Catfish carry a related version of this through a structure called the lateral line, a thin row of receptors running down each side of the body that lets them feel changes in water pressure from creatures they cannot see coming. Here is where it gets harder to look away from. Every one of these systems, the ampullae in a shark's snout, the lateral line in a catfish, the nerve endings in an elephant's foot, the rerouted pathways in an amputee dog's spinal cord, shares the exact same underlying architecture as the habit sitting quietly in your pocket. Expect a signal often enough, across enough time, and a nervous system will eventually generate that signal on its own, with nothing real behind it. And this changes the entire story you have been telling yourself about why your leg buzzes when your phone does not. Phantom vibration was never really a modern glitch invented by smartphones. Smartphones simply gave an ancient, universal nervous system feature a brand new trigger to misfire on. Long before anyone carried a device in their pocket, animals were already living inside nervous systems built to anticipate signals from their environment, occasionally firing those signals into empty air. Your phone buzz is not a 21st century disorder. It is a survival mechanism far older than you are, wearing a very modern costume, and that reframes the itch on your leg into something almost worth admiring. Every time your hand reaches for a phone that never buzzed, you are watching, in real time, the exact same neurological machinery that lets an elephant feel danger travel up through solid ground, that lets a shark find a heartbeat hidden beneath sand, that lets an amputee dog keep believing, months later, that all four legs are still present and accounted for. You are not broken. You are running the same ancient software every sufficiently complex nervous system on this planet has been running, just pointed at a small rectangle of glass and metal instead of a limb, a rumble, or a heartbeat in the dark. There is something quietly moving in that, once you sit with it. The dog scratching at nothing is not confused. It is proof of a nervous system so committed to remembering its own body that even surgery could not fully talk it out of the habit. The elephant freezing at a rumble no one else detected is not paranoid. It is proof of a sensitivity so refined that it occasionally overshoots its own target. And you, reaching into an empty pocket for the 4th time this week, are not distracted or addicted. You are simply the newest chapter in a story your nervous system has been quietly writing since long before phones existed, since long before you existed, since the first animal on this planet learned that predicting the world one step ahead of it was worth the occasional false alarm. Think about the shape of your own day for a second. You sit at a desk, or in a meeting, or on a couch, and some part of your attention is always quietly scanning, waiting for the next signal from a device that is not even asking anything of you right now. That is not so different from a catfish holding still in murky water, lateral line primed, waiting for a ripple that means something is near. The setting has changed completely. Concrete instead of riverbed, notifications instead of tremors, but the underlying posture, an animal quietly on alert for a signal that matters, has barely changed at all. So the next time you feel that buzz that was never actually there, you might notice it a little differently. Not as some strange modern habit to feel embarrassed about, but as a small, quiet signal that your body is doing exactly what nervous systems have always done, across every species that has ever had to sense a threat, a bond, or a heartbeat before it was too late to matter. If you have ever felt that phantom buzz yourself, or if you have a pet who still reacts to a limb or a sense it no longer fully has, leave a comment and tell that story. And if this changed the way you think about that little buzz in your pocket, a like helps this reach someone else who needed to feel it too.